Oh, stop. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Hey guys, so guess what? The reason, so guess what? Guess fucking what? I just lost an entire hour of a recording because I couldn't figure out how to. Why isn't it? This isn't. Oh. I use the software. I figured out a little bit how to use the software. So welcome back to the podcast. It is called I Like to Think I'm Interesting. And I was going to talk about politics. I swear the episode that I just recorded was so good. It was so damn good. And it was just so good, you guys. I'm sorry. It was so good. It was great. I'm so sorry. So sorry we couldn't have that. I'm having fun with the little tracks here. I've got clapping too. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of cool actually. I do like that. That's kind of fun. Hello, welcome back to the podcast. I was going to talk about politics, and I just went on this whole rant about because it's been on my mind because at the time I'm recording this, it's the 22nd of January. It's right after Trump got inaugurated. And obviously, I am non-binary, so when he said that there are only two genders, it was whatever. It's fine. Obviously it was like, okay, well, I'm not for him because he said that, and so it's not the only reason. Obviously, I was not for him before, but I'm just saying it's obvious I'm not. So, and yeah. But anyway, blah 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 blah. Anyway, blah blah blah. So, I bet you're wondering what we're going to talk about today, if not politics. We're still going to talk about politics. I just want to make my point that I said before, which was, this has happened to me a lot recently, I'm trying to, but this podcast site is actually, it's really great, for the most part. I think I'm just really learning to work out the kinks. It's been difficult, but, in a lot of ways it's convenient, so that's kind of cool. But I really wanted to record something, because I have not recorded anything since Christmas. And I don't want to let go of this because I've actually been having a really great time, making these. And also it's just nice to talk about whatever I want to talk about and then not care, if people disagree with me or I don't know, or just to be open and say what I think and say how I feel and stuff like that. Wow, okay, so that's what it looks like when you're recording. It'll have a big recording thing on it. Okay, well, now we know, now I know, now you know, that this is what it is when it's recording. I thought I was recording for an hour. And I was like, it's kind of weird that it's not showing me how long I've been recording. And it turns out I wasn't recording. But, you live and you learn. You live and you learn. You live and you learn. But I was just saying that I think the biggest problem in politics in the U.S., where I'm from, is that we don't talk to each other. I think, okay, bear with me. For a while, and I know now that it is not founded anymore, that the TikTok ban was sort of unfounded because unfounded. What am I saying? It's I thought it was people were talking about how it was a national security threat, but now we found out it kind of wasn't. It was apparently it was the they apparently said that when they saw it in I saw this AOC story, whatever. I politically trust AOC, but also, you know, she's a politician, so whatever. But like she was saying how like they were shown the evidence and that it wasn't actually substantial to be a national security threat. And so I was like, okay, so now I'm on the team of like, why did we do that? And I guess, but the thing is, I was very much on the team of like, let's ban it, because not only because of this national security threat, obviously, like that's the biggest thing, because I'm sorry guys, like I know that this is like, you know, I don't know, like everybody has our data anyhow, and like what about freedom of speech and stuff? But for me, I'm kind of like, I know what will happen if the corporations have my data. They'll just try to sell me more shit, which is annoying and sucks, but like I don't know what any other government will do if they have my shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just think that Americans, we just don't think enough about how we are not in a war zone, and how so many other people are in war zones, and how a lot of us are very comfortable, and we get to live lives, and we get to watch TV and play video games. And a lot of people, their arms have been bombed off, you know? Like it's just awful. It's horrible. Obviously yeah. But you know what I'm saying. I'm just like, I'd rather not be in a war zone. I'd rather not be in a war zone. I know that that's like, you know, that's a lot of, we've caused a lot of war zones, but even more so, it's like, okay, we've caused a lot, like my country that I live in, happen to have been born in, like, has caused a lot of wars. And that means a lot of people want to kill me. So I really would rather not give foreign powers my data. So that was kind of where I was with it. But like, you know, that's kind of what I was thinking about. But so yeah, and I've just been, but the reason I've been sort of against, you know, social media in general is because of the, like, not against it altogether. Obviously, like, it's great to have these forums that we can all, like, talk to each other from across the world and, like, listen to each other and figure out each other's stuff. I guess what I'm feeling like is that I really believe in the regulation of these things, and the further, like, regulation. And I feel like TikTok is one of the worst offenders of this, is that like they make ways for these things to be addicting, and they make ways for these things and they lead to really bad like mental health. Like I think about how there are elementary schoolers out there who have, you know, like TikTok and these other things. And I'm not saying that that's like, but I'm just saying that like we need more regulation on social media for children. Like I only got social media and it started to be more popular when I was in middle school. And I'm like, I remember when it happened. I remember when I first picked up and got my Instagram. Like, I remember, like, yes, the world opened up, but in a way it also got smaller because I stopped engaging with it as much. And I know that's what's happening, is like, I'll sit on my phone. I'll get sucked into my phone. Like, I have, like app timers now, because I know that if I don't have them, I will sit on that baby for like 4 hours. And that's 4 hours of my day gone, like, you know, from other stuff I could have been doing, you know? I could have been, okay, obviously, like, this is my, you know, like, leisure time, obviously. But I could have been doing stuff like hanging with my friends, speaking to somebody I love, you know, like, playing a video game I want to play, you know, like watching a movie I wanted to watch a while ago, like engaging with something wholly and fully, you know, like I feel like in a lot of ways, like social media, like and being so connected, you know, like takes away our ability to engage fully with things, like to the point where like, I mean, obviously you hear those things about how Netflix is like thinking of like, you know, considering their consumers who sit and just put their stuff on like, you know, who just put their stuff on and don't pay attention, you know, and go on their phones while they're doing it. And sometimes I think that's pleasurable to like go on your phone and like hang out while have something in the background. But also I think it's really, and the people in the companies, like the Like, they know the impact that it has. Like, they know the research that has been done. Like, they're aware of the effect that these things have on people's brains. And it's made specifically for that. Anyway, I'm very much like, we need to be more careful than we are being about social media. Like, it's not a, ha ha ha, I'm on social media all the time. It's like, no, that's actually quite serious, and we should be thinking about how this is affecting our brains. That's just my thought. Something else, though, I've been thinking about is the way that we use social media to engage politically. Obviously, like in all kinds of political times, right? Like in the past few years since we've had social media, like there have been ways that have been established with which you engage with politics. Sometimes you'll post an infographic, or you'll post something on your story that says, hey, do this thing, or a call to action, or you'll repost something that somebody else said, or you'll talk about how angry you were at something, or you'll take a picture of yourself at a protest, like stuff like that, or you'll say a hot take you have, like you'll say whatever you're feeling online. You'll just you'll put it on there. You'll tweet it or something, and though this creates discourse with strangers and with all these other people, I don't think that the discourse is productive at all. I think that, so the example that I've given before, or they gave in my previous podcast was, hold on one moment. There's a screw that came loose from my chair. Anybody else ever have that happen? Where you're just sitting and chilling in your chair, and just a screw comes loose? I mean, it's really bad. I have to. No, I can't. I can't do that. I can't pause and screw this in. No, I can't do that. I'll just put it on my table. Anyway, back to the really important thing I was saying. Yeah, but basically, I was saying that my opinions on how we engage in social media have really much changed over the years, whatever, I sound so old. I'm 25. I'm really so young. But they really they've changed a lot since I've been using it, because I don't know, I used to do something that I've learned is that the only capacity in which politics on social media work is if you are speaking to somebody who already has the same opinion as you. Otherwise, you're going to get angry, you're going to leave, you're going to, be upset, and you're going to see things that you're not going to like, and it's going to leave you feeling powerless and awful and your heart hurting, And there's a lot of different schools of thought on this, right? You hear a lot of people being like, let's bear witness, let's do this. And a lot of you have so much privilege, you can't look away. Obviously, I'm talking about this in the context of the Israel-Palestine conflict, where there's a lot of really horrible imagery going around of people brutally mutilated, and horrible things like that, and horrible, facts and, horrible images, and it's really hard because, nobody wants, I think something that, I'm going to go into this, something that I feel like a lot of people don't recognize about each other in this conflict, at least is how I felt, and at least is what you can tell from looking at social media, right? If you're looking at your friends and they're saying this stuff, nobody wants people to be dying. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants people to be dying or getting hurt or getting killed, or the possibility of people dying or getting hurt or getting killed. The problem is that whatever the binary sides that we have created, whether you're apparently pro-Israel, pro-Palestine, these are two distinct sides, and you can't have any nuance in between them or any thought about how to proceed with them working together. Apparently, if you cross into these areas, it's a very fraught topic. Now, I am saying these things from my own perspective. These opinions are my own, and I don't know everything. Again, I'm 25. I don't know anything. I do know some things, and these are just this is from my experience and from my observations of friends and family, people I know, people I follow, and like just things that have bothered me about it. And like, regardless of what you believe, what your opinion is on this subject, like, obviously, I think everybody can agree that it sucks that people are dying. It sucks that people are getting taken from their homes. It sucks. Nobody wants that to happen. Nobody wants people to die. It sucks. It's awful, and nobody wants the possibility of people dying in the future. And everybody and because of this, because of the language and the rhetoric that is being used in different spaces online, and I'm being a little bit vague because it's kind of everywhere. I really, like, I could give examples, but it really is kind of everywhere. Like, whether you are on a, Free Palestine platform, and then like some person in the comments will be like, well, we should kill everyone in Israel, but like the person who posted is like, hey man, like, they're doing all these horrible things, and they've been doing these things for a long time. And it's like, and then you look at this other people who are like, hey man, like, it, like, this, like, people, like the Jewish people would really like to, or some people would really like to be in, this post is like, some people would really like to be in Israel, and they're like, and people are like, yeah, we should kill all the Palestine, like, it's like so much of what people are saying, I feel like, is being like amplified and twisted into something that maybe not every person who uses these words like Zionism or Free Palestine or all of the different, hashtags that we have, right, to talk about things, or says genocide, or says apartheid, or says revolution, uses these different narrative words, like, not everybody who says not everything means the same thing. Which is so frustrating because it's the same thing with the human language, right? Not everything means the same thing, and connotation and context are important, and nuance are important. But what's so hard about this, and obviously everybody knows this, if you've been following this, this is just an example I'm giving about politics in general, but if you've been following this particular conflict, because it's hard not to follow it, right? Because it's so everywhere, and it's just so awful, and it makes everybody feel powerless, and it's a really great thing that people are able to like talk about it and circulate this information, and like, and some of the information is false, and some of the information is true, and some of the information we don't know, and some of it because none of us are there, but it's a really great thing that we're able to like hear this, and we're able to try to help and send money and send resources and send thoughts and send, and think of a solution, work to think of a solution, because everybody wants a solution. People want to stop the dying. That's what they want. Like, I mean, honestly, that kind of at the end of the day, that's it. People just don't want their people to suffer, and they want to like live in peace. Everybody wants peace. I mean, that's the biggest thing that someone should want. I mean, that's the thing that everybody should agree on, I think. I mean, otherwise I don't know. But, oh God, I lost my train of thought. Well, overall, like, I think when we talk about this conflict in particular, something that I noticed when this conflict came up was that people were assuming the worst of each other because of their interpretation of these words, of these hashtags, of these words that people use. And I'm not saying that people don't have a right to be angry, or have a right to be critical, or have a right to think about these things and be like, hey man, and think about, okay, and contemplate, okay, is it a genocide? Is it apartheid? Is it, like, are these, like, or like the other side, you're like, are people terrorists? Like, what is terror? What does that look like? Like, what are we trying to defend against? Like, what's the, like, what, like, what are, like, let's contemplate what these things are. Let's contemplate Let's let's talk about the facts of what is happening, and let's try to remain like, don't be, complacent. Let's try to, help however we can, even if it's just by spreading awareness, which is a really admirable thought for everybody involved. I think I mean, it's amazing and remarkable thing that we can do this with social media. The thing that I'm sure that somebody else has talked about this, I'm sure I'm not a genius and has come up with this myself, but this is just how I feel about it, is that we don't talk to each other enough. Like, sit down and have a conversation. And don't get me wrong, it's incredibly hard to do. I have a hard time doing it. It's really hard because, I say again, but I don't think I've ever brought this example up in this recording. But like, if somebody is posting, hey, anybody who I think this thing, and if anybody thinks even slightly differently, or has a slightly different opinion, or wants to talk about something different, I'm going to assume that they're a murderer and a horrible person, and that they should die in a fire. If one of the people who has that different opinion is that person's friend, and they're not gonna talk to them, because they're gonna assume that they want that they are supporting people dying. And I don't know, maybe they are, but you haven't asked. You've assumed. When we can't, and the thing, when we start only having discussions online in a comment section, on people's stories, or you swipe up like on a DM, and the way that you have a conversation is by telling the person all the ways that they are wrong instead of talking to them like a person, then I feel like you have lost an opportunity. I know that nobody owes anybody anything. I am in no way saying that if you are an oppressed individual right now, which a lot of us are, and and somebody comes up to you and says this, I am in no way saying that person has a right to your time, or a right to your knowledge, or to your heart, or to your mind and your being. Nobody has a right to that, and you can always choose to not engage with something you don't want to engage with. What I am saying is that if you did have the time, something that and if you were somebody who was like, God, what do? I keep saying these things and nobody cares, and nobody pays attention or listen. I think the problem is you're not talking to them. You're not talking to them directly. Because something that I have learned, the biggest thing that I have learned, is that people are not going to just go educate themselves if you tell them to, unless they are interested in the topic, and unless they actually are willing to take a step back and think critically. And unfortunately, the biggest way to get someone to step back and think critically is to talk to them like a human being, and to use your voice to do that. Now, I'm not saying that's always possible to do, but I am saying that is some of the hardest work and some of the most effective work that you can do to change a culture, to change a society, to change a community, to change your community. And I'm not saying that you have to do it. I'm not saying it's up to you, but I am saying that it is something that works. Like, it works slowly. It works, I guess what I'm saying is that I have faith in that people respond to kindness and people who are willing to listen. And people do not respond well to anger or letting your emotions out on someone else. And, people just want to be treated like human beings. People are looking out for their own interests. I mean, unless they're a psychopath, a sociopath, or whatever those paths are, they want love in life. They want people to care about them. They want people to care about what they have to say, like they are a person with needs and things and things that make them upset and things that make them angry and things that make them happy, things that make them joyful, things that make them go, yeah, And when we shut people out of the conversation because we know that we're going to disagree with them, we lose an opportunity to understand where we do agree and then maybe even change minds. I'm not saying that if you talk to someone, it's going to change their mind, but I think about one of my favorite influencers. Pardon me, that was me messing with my mic. I hope that wasn't loud. One of my favorite influencers, Rain Dove, really cool. You should look them up. They are a non-binary or gender fluid. I don't know which one it is, but they're like a gender whatever. What is gender? Model and activist. And they have this great thing. I don't know if they do it anymore because they are really busy helping out with direct aid to Palestine right now, which is really lovely. And they do a lot of great work of a lot of social political work. And what they do a lot is they give people the benefit of the doubt. They did this thing. They did this experiment where they gave people their phone number and they said, "Hi, I am trans. This is my experience. I want to talk to you." And they said that they got a lot of, hateful calls, but a few times they got a call and they talked to somebody and they were actually able to help the person cope with their kid being trans. They were able to help the person figure it out by just being somebody to listen and somebody to talk to. And I know that this strategy is not like a foolproof strategy that works for everybody. I know that. But I will say that it does make me have more hope in the kindness of humanity more than in the anger and darkness of other people. And something else that they did was really cool was they went to Palestine and they talked to they went to Gaza, they went to Palestine, and they talked to and gave aid to some people there, and they went around and told people that, like, with a group of trans and queer people, right? And they went around and told people that were themselves around them and told people they were trans and stuff like that. And the people just did not care. The people didn't, throw stones at them or anything like that, or like get upset at them for whatever. It's like people just wanted food. Now, I'm not saying that that's like, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is that like the point was that they were trying to disprove the people saying queer people, aren't welcome in Palestine or whatever. And their point was like, hey, these people are humans and they're worth, saving and protecting too. And just because this thing happened doesn't mean that these people should be killed, like that was sort of their point. But I think it also just shows a point too that humans are humans wherever you go. And when you come to them with love and you come at them with care and you come at them with listening and understanding of their problems, they will be listening. They will try to listen and understand to your problems too, because when you level with somebody, that's how you create change. That's how you make a friend, honestly. So that's kind of what I disagree with, how people conduct themselves politically on social media, and how we have just been conducting politicalness currently. Because the extent of what you'll see people do, it'll just repost an infographic, or they'll comment on something, and then they'll leave it at that. Or maybe they'll go to a protest or something. It's and I'm not saying that honestly, I've been a part of this problem too. I probably am a part of this problem. It's just something that I've been trying to practice against which is like I've been trying to practice against not talking to people. One should talk to people. One should listen and love. And yeah, so basically, I just disagree with the way that I've been seeing political discourse happen. And the way that the majority, because like, you know, what's really interesting to me is that it's frowned upon to discuss with friends or with your community your political issues because you could disagree and it could lead to like fights or bad things. But I think if we just practiced handling conflict and we practiced like listening and talking to each other, we actually might actually do way more for our communities than by reposting something on Instagram. I don't know. I'm sure I'm not the only person who has suggested this or said this. And it's probably the hardest practice ever because you're constantly like, it's just I don't know. Here's a think piece for you. Here's a spicy take. Are you ready for this spicy take? Because I'm ready for a spicy take. Okay. So talking to each other, right? Like I've been saying, it's kind of what they do in Congress. And it's kind of the hardest work of all, which is talking to somebody who you know does not share your same political opinion and trying to figure out how to compromise, how to both get what you want, how to get what you want in general, how to take care of the interests of the people that you're taking care of, how to take care of you. And something that I was thinking about, again, I was talking about these things in my last recording that I did for an hour before it was destroyed. Pray for me. But thoughts and prayers. But I was talking about how, imagine if Congress was done through social media, like through Instagram. Like imagine if they wanted to say something about how they were feeling, they had to post or what they thought about a particular subject, they had to post an infographic. Like they had to repost an infographic on their story, or they had to, if they were going to debate, they had to debate in a comment section. I know that nothing gets done, and I know we all think nothing gets done, but I think that even less would get done because we would just be yelling at each other. And then we wouldn't, and I know that they'd probably do that in real life, but I will say that like there are times when they do actually talk to each other. I mean, it must be if we've come up with like some laws that have been beneficial. Come on, you guys. And again, I don't know much about a lot of things. I just think it would be funny if they had to like argue in like an Instagram caption or a TikTok caption, and somebody posted like a video or something, and like then, you know, they had to like all comment on the video and like talk about how it's just like, have you ever seen a political discourse comment section end with somebody being like, "Oh, I guess you're right. Thank you for that." Like, I've seen like two. Like, I just think that the way that especially now with these social media platforms being co-opted by billionaires, right? I think that we need to I mean, that's what people have been saying now, right? We need to focus even more on building our internal communities, which means, I'm going to say it. Ready? Here's a spicy take. I'm going to say it. If you were like pro-Israel or pro-Palestine and you know, had a friend who you dropped because they had a different opinion from there, and you assumed they meant that they wanted to kill all the people that you didn't want to kill, you know, like if you lost friends over this, like, you don't have to get those friends back. But what I'm saying is that if this has caused tension in your friend group or something like that, or you have, you have distanced yourself from somebody because of something, go back to them, talk it out. Let's bring our communities back together, okay? Because we have to take care of each other now in this time of like unfettered nonsense on, not that it hasn't always been unfettered nonsense on like social media platforms, but like, I don't know. It's my opinion that like we have to be a source of truth for each other, And we have to make sure, and even with your friends that you found that you disagree with on one topic or the other, there has to be a way to discuss and to pool notes. Because pooling notes on Instagram or on wherever you do it, like on TikTok or whatever, there's just so much opportunity for it to not come across. There's so much like room for it to be misconstrued. I don't know. That's just my thought. It was much cooler when I brought it up in the... No, it's fine. Whatever. I think I found it really hard to speak about my political opinions recently, in public or on social media or with friends, because, again, it's really hard to talk about things with people that might not understand where you're coming from. It's really hard to talk about to things who you're afraid are going to assume, like, to talk to people about things that you, like, when you feel like they're going to assume the worst of you, or they're going to assume, that you meant them harm with your opinion or with your way of thinking. And it can be really, really hard, especially if it's friends or family, right? Like, I think we've all had, like, not all of us, but like, we've had family. We've all had family. I think maybe, well, at least many of us have had family who we've had political disagreements with, and maybe it has led to rifts. Maybe it has led to difficult things. But, having a different opinion from somebody is so valuable. It's so valuable. It can be difficult and exhausting. It can be hard because you don't understand. But you know what? How you get that understanding is by talking to them. So here's a small personal story. So when I came out as non-binary, well, honestly, I'll just be honest with you. Me simply knowing people, me simply being friends with people, I have been many people's first non-binary friend, okay? And, like, somebody could have, been like, I can't believe they would think that way, But they met me, and they're like, oh, this is just a person, And, like, personally, I had my high school choir teacher, shout out to Mr. Thorpe, hello, like, at first, when I first came out as non-binary, like, there was a whole big confusion about it, because I wanted to wear a suit in the choir, and when I, I had to be in the section where I had to wear a dress, and that gave me a lot of dysphoria, and it was very difficult, because I hate dresses, and I can't wear them, because it gives me dysphoria. I'll have a trans episode. I'll talk to you about trans things. It's kind of interesting. I don't talk about it a lot, because I am afraid of judgment, and I'm afraid of people being like, well, I don't believe you. And I'm like, I don't need you to believe me. It's my lived experience. I'm so sorry. Like, I can't do anything to convince you of my lived experience. It's just what happened to me in my life. There's nothing I can do to convince you. All I can do is be like, hey man, I'm a person, and you don't need to understand anything. I just find it interesting. I would wonder if you'd find it interesting, and that maybe it would make you think more expansively about the world. But honestly, I guess maybe it is my business if you think expansively about the world, because I do think everybody would benefit from expanding about the world. Let's do this. If you're my friend, I have already made you think expansively about the world, because my existence in your life means that you're like, oh shit, this other stuff can exist too. So yeah, we'll have a trans episode, I promise. I'll go into that. It'll be fun. I'll talk about my coming out experience probably. But yeah, what I'm saying is that, like, simply by being myself and being a walking political statement, unfortunately, I have, like, touched the lives and changed the lives of many. And it was exhausting, and it was very hard, and I hated it. But I had to do it, because guess what? Now that I've done it, I have an incredible community behind me. And a truly incredible community. If you're listening to this, love you all. Really do. And I would not have had that had I not pushed for everybody to understand exactly who I am. And if they hadn't, taken my kindness and my, I don't know, my, if they hadn't leaned back, if they hadn't leaned into it with me, like, we wouldn't have all been friends, and we wouldn't have, all formed this amazing community. And also my family, like, if we hadn't figured it all out, like, we wouldn't be nearly as strong as we are. We're, like, we wouldn't be nearly as good, teammates. Like, I know I can rely on my family for anything. And that is truly a gift, because not everybody has that. And guess what? Like any relationship, it takes work. It takes work to make a community, to make a family, especially when you get older. When you're a kid and you have parents, like, suddenly, you have to look and be like, oh my God, were there mistakes of the past? Maybe there were. Oh my God. Like, and you have to decide, okay, am I going to sit and try to fix this, or am I going to, try something else? And some people, they need to go try something else, and I respect that, and that's totally okay. But I will say that if there is an opportunity there, to lean forward and try to work with the people, that you're trying to build community with, I'd say it's worth it. So if you're, like wondering if you should include people in your journey or in your selfhood or in, because I'll tell you this. It's really hard to be okay with having to convince people that it is okay that you exist. that you are not lying, that your word is enough. It is really hard to have to be that strong to convince people that you love who you thought would be, and this happens to many trans people. I mean, it's just, and many gay people too. It's just like, it's just really tough to, have to convince people, and this can happen with friends, this can happen with anybody, but it's really hard to, and this is if you have a different opinion. You don't have to be any of these things, but if you think something different from somebody you love, it's very hard to convince the person to, I guess especially if they're your parent, right? It's very hard to convince the person that you're talking to, how do I want to say this, to respect your words and to respect that you know what you're talking about, and to respect that your lived experience is valid. Everybody's saying valid this, valid that. But okay, it's a real word, and I wish that it wasn't used so much so that it would actually, but like, it is hard to convince people that what you are saying is true about you, and that it is okay, and that it is how you feel, and that it is something that should be considered. It is something that should be considered by the other person. It's something that they should consider, and that you deserve to be respected, you deserve to be treated well. Like, it's very hard to convince people of these things because it feels in our bones, it feels like it should be inherent, which it is. Respect for you and people respecting you is inherent. It should be inherent, and it should be something people automatically do because that's just the right thing to do, is to respect each other. So it's really hard when you have a certain lived experience and you have to suddenly defend your own lived experience. So it's, yeah, that can be typical of many people, but it's not an easy thing. And it doesn't feel good to do all the time either. But I guess what I'm saying is that the biggest and hardest work that you can do is communicate with each other and to be with people, especially politically. Politically, it is the hardest part about politics, is talking to people who disagree with you and trying to figure out how to make your and their interests align. And that's why I think that if we all did what Congress does, not everything that Congress does, obviously, but if we all sat with our friends in a quorum, or not even, if we all sat with them and were like, hey, I'm feeling this about the election, or I'm feeling this about this political instance. How is everybody else feeling? And then there comes a discussion. And then if someone goes, actually, I'm feeling this way, and you go, why do you feel that way? And they'll go, this way. And then you're like, well, that makes me feel like this. And then you're having a whole conversation. And then guess what? Everybody is so much more comfortable with each other because they know, like, they feel heard, they feel seen. Even if they figure out they disagree and they're confused, there is space to discuss. There is space for reasoning. And I really want to work on that in my own life too. I really want to work on creating that space and holding space for the lyrics of Defying Gravity. Anyway, I really want to work on that because I feel like that is the secret to getting through these times, is to talk to each other. And so that's something that I would encourage. If we're worried about politics right now in this day and age, don't post about it on social media. Go to your friend and talk to someone about it. Even if it's someone who might have different beliefs than you, talk to them about how you're feeling first. Start with your feelings, then listen. Feel and listen, and let the other person feel. How are they feeling? Feel and listen, because I'll tell you, like, no matter who it is, it'll feel a heck of a lot better to speak to an actual human being than to speak to our cyber selves that are our most primal and ugly impulses in a lot of ways, like, and people are hard to talk to too. But talking to a real flesh and blood human being, you get to know that person and you get to understand that person. And then you might get a better understanding of yourself. And then you might get a better understanding of the country as a whole. So, but always, as always, take care of yourself first. Obviously, like, nothing has to happen. You never have to talk to anybody. I'm just saying it as a suggestion that I think that if we all tried to talk to each other a bit more instead of trying to shout over each other, we might find that we agree a lot more than we think. And especially if we start with the people closest to us, because, you never know how much you can change each other for the better. So that is my 2 cents about the politics of today. Talk to someone today. Talk to someone face to face. Sit and ask them how their day is. Have a real, talk some deep talk today, okay? And talk about politics, okay? Talk to someone about politics today. And not just oh, do you agree on this? Talk about something nuanced. Ask someone's opinion on something. It might just help. Yeah. Let's all get talking again. Let's all talk again. And I think we should all try email lists and other things now, because I don't know how reliable social media platforms are. I'm still going to use them because they're fun, but just letting you know that that's probably something weird, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, Stu, my younger brother, made a song for the an ending song for the end of this podcast. I do not have it. I'll probably have it next podcast. Also, I'm planning on uploading everything to YouTube very soon. I have not done it yet, but I would like to, because I have friends who want to listen to it. Hello, Marcus. And I'm really appreciative of everybody's support, just so you know. And yeah, I want to say thanks a lot, everyone, so much. Everyone who's listened, for your support. This has been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to keep going. And I can't wait to bring my friends as guests. I already have a lot of people who want to come on, so we're just going to sit and chat for an hour, and it'll be really, really fun. I'm very excited for all the different topics we have coming up. And I'm really excited for everyone to meet my friends and for us all to have fun discussions. All right, then. Okay, so this has been, I like to think I'm interesting. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, ready for my outro. This is the end of the podcast. This is the end of the podcast. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. And I'll put it in his, thing, next episode. See you guys. Bye.